Hey everybody, it's Rory from ANSgear. We've got some triggers up on the table today, the Exalt Lightning triggers. Now this trigger will fit all sorts of different guns. It'll fit, as you can see on the packaging, the 170R and the LV2, because those are current production guns right there. But it also fits the 160R, the CS1, CS1.5, CSR, CS Pro, Geo 4. So any of the Planet guns basically that has that shoe design where there is a front trigger piece like there that basically sets onto a carrier and then is held in by a screw. Now there are versions of the trigger or Planet guns that have a trigger that is on a carrier that sits up in the frame and it is all one solid piece. That's not going to work. Can't use it for those ones. Or that have a circle and there's a barrel that fits through it. That's not going to work either. So these ones right here, this style shoe setup right here, you can go in there. So we've got an LV2 here. And we've also got a 170R, and we're going to put triggers in them. Just show you how easy it is to get the trigger out and put a new trigger onto it. So I think for this one, let's put a red trigger on this one. So we're going to take our LV2. There's the right side of the gun has the pivot pin for the trigger. We don't need to take the grips off or anything. All we need to do is just unscrew the pivot pin and pull it out. So there's our pin, set that to the side, and then the trigger will come right out the front. Now, depending on how you have your trigger set up already, if you've adjusted some of these screws, especially this one at the front at the top right here, that can hinder the trigger coming out. Also, if this one right here on the back is further out, when you try to bring this out this way, this one can get caught right here as well. So just if you take your pivot pin out and your trigger just doesn't come right out, don't force it. Just adjust your screws so that it can clear and then take it right out. Once we have our assembly out, you see it right here. On the back side of the LV2 trigger, there is a screw that you can undo. So we're going to undo this one. And this is what the screw looks like that's sitting inside there. Right there. Once that screws out, the trigger just comes right off. We can set that to the side. And we're going to take this red one and we're going to take it off of this packaging. The way that Exalt packages this piece is just for a display. When it's in the box and it's sitting on here, it kind of makes it sit at an angle and look cool and all that stuff. You do not use this piece to put the trigger in. If you were to lose this screw for some reason, well, you could use this one that's in there to put it in there, but you can just go ahead and use the one you've already got. That one is kind of like an extra, just how they mount it on there. So we take our bearing carrier right there, get our trigger set up to go on, and get that set up on there. So you can see how this fits right there. If you look at the back of the trigger, there's a little notch right there. That little notch is going to fit in to the notched section that is right here on the carrier. So it's going to sit just like that. And you can see there's a little bit of a gap right there. That's normal. Should sit there. This should fit flush along the top right here. This should fit flush on the bottom right there. Once you have those two pieces in the right spot, take our screw and we just put it right back in. Give it a little bit of a snug, and then there we have it. Put that in there. Put our pivot pin back through and screw that together. Now we've got our lightning trigger set up on our LV2. If you had to adjust your screws to get the system out, go ahead and put your screws back the way they were. It's really easy to sometimes just count the number of turns that you're coming out or in on a screw. Then when you put it back in, just go 1, 2, and have it be done. Just like that. All right, so LV2 finished. Now, 170R is a little bit different. You can go about this two ways. There's a really long way to do this where you separate the frame from the body and then you take the whole trigger assembly out from the top of the frame. You really don't need to do that. So I'll show you the way I do this. On the left side of the grip here, we're going to take this off. So we've got the left side grips off, but that's it. We're not going to take the right side grips off. We're going to take our left side grips off. I usually turn the gun upside down to myself because it makes it easier for me. I'm right-handed, and I use the screw in a certain way. I'm just trying to clear out some stuff here. All right, there we go. You know what? I actually usually do it from the other side. This way. Left side. But you could do it from either side. That's why it seemed a little weird. All right, so we've got them completely off. And again, either side. I like to come at it from this side. I put the gun upside down, and then I'm going to come in from right here. Now, if you take this pivot pin out, it will release this, but this won't come out of here. You cannot pull this assembly out from the bottom if you remove the pivot pin. If you're going to take everything out from the top, you would need to remove the pivot pin. But since we're not going to do it that way, we don't need to take the pivot pin out. All we need to do is have the grips off. Now, the Allen key you want to use really helps if it's got the ball end to it, because we're not going to come directly in from the back. We're going to be at slightly an angle. And so we need to have this ball end that helps us get into there. So I'm going to come in to where that screw that we used, that we removed to get this one off, that screw's in the same spot right there. So I'm going to put the Allen key into that screw, and I'm going to unscrew it from here. And I'll go far enough where eventually that trigger shoe will just fall right off. There we go. Pops right out of there. We set that to the side. Now, if you're doing it this way, what I recommend is I'm putting pressure forward on the screw so the screw doesn't fall out the back. I'm going to then grab onto the screw with my finger. This allows me to take the Allen key out, but we don't lose our screw. If the screw falls out and gets lost down in here, you're going to have to kind of search around for it. Then you're going to have to finagle that screw back through the hole right there. But if you're careful from the beginning, you can keep that screw in its spot. Keep pressure on it with the Allen key so it doesn't slide backwards. Hold on to it, and then take your Allen key out and leave your screw sitting there. That way, when we take our new trigger, undo it from the housing. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to take my Allen key. I'm going to put it back in, and I'm going to hold on to the screw so the screw can't slide backwards. I'll take my new trigger, line up everything, and then go ahead and screw it in, making sure that the bottom and the top line up appropriately on the trigger assembly, and then give it a little bit of a tighten. And that way you don't need to disassemble the entire gun to just get to the trigger. But again, having the ball end Allen key really helps to get that done. You can fit this down in here too if you need to use a little bit more pressure on there, but you shouldn't need to. To remove it and to put it in, you don't need to crank on it. It just needs to be snug. You don't need to muscle it and really tighten it down. So there we go. We've got that one installed in there, and we've got it installed on here as well. So if you're looking for a unique trigger shape or design or feel, check out the Lightning triggers. Obviously 170R and LV2 compatible, plus 160, CS1, CS1.5, CSR, CS Pro, Geo 4. Fits all those guns right there. So get yours today in all the colors that are available at ANSgear.com.